We were expecting more cheers, more. Is it just pure
Well,
exhaustion?
I think it's pure exhaustion. I really didn't think that this would go till early in the morning, but it did. But I'm very relieved and happy that the budget is finally done. And this was grueling, obviously, over 100 days, and of course this last day and night. But I like to focus on the positive, and obviously the fact that the budget was late was not a good thing, as late as it was. But I think I'm proud to stand behind the product, the final product itself, because in the midst of this horrific economic crisis and these budget deficits, the numbers that have not been seen before in California history, we got through this. We got through this uh, with the least amount of cuts to education and higher education and healthcare and other public services, and California is still standing. And we will get a fresh start in January, and we'll come on back and we'll try to tackle the numerous challenges we have here.
You were extremely optimistic. I mean, yesterday we spoke to you. You said this is going to pass. This is definitely going to pass.
I was right.
How'd you do it?
Well, just to talk a little bit of inside baseball, so to speak, this was particularly difficult because we had two members, Democratic members, who were not available due to illness. And then there were a couple of Republican members missing, and obviously we lost Dave Cox several months ago. And so we were down numbers, and the margins are very tight to begin with. And the votes are difficult because the issues are difficult when you're cutting education, or you are cutting other programs, or making some of the decisions that we've had to make. The vote margins are tight, so that made it especially challenging. And yet, I always live by the motto: you never give up. You stay with it. You stay with it. And a couple hours ago, I was wondering whether or not it was going to come together, but it did, and I'm relieved, and relieved for California. Not as I said, this is not a celebration because of the difficulties of the times and the difficult times and the decisions that we've had to make, but it is a relief.
How do you justify such a long delay to the taxpayers?
I don't justify it. I think the public has the right to be very unhappy about the delay. But I will say that we have a system here in California that requires a 2/3 vote. We're one of 3 states, and as I have said many times, we govern with one arm tied behind our backs. We can cut, but you can only cut so much, and the other side is not willing to talk about or debate revenue in any significant way. And so there are artificial constraints, and given the tools that we have, I think the end product is a pretty good product. Well, we're hopeful about the federal revenues, and we think we'll do quite well, but no illusions here. This budget does not solve California's structural deficit. It can't. It couldn't by definition, because in order to do that, we would need deeper cuts, and we would need significant ongoing revenue. And for all the reasons that we have talked about over the many months, we were not going to cut as deep as the governor wanted, and the other side's not willing to talk about revenue. So you continue to protect and get through the crisis. Know that the economy will recover. Continue to work on reform and never give up.
Senator,
Thanks, Jim.
the reserve wasn't that large to begin with.
No.
The transportation portion didn't have that much in the reserve. What are you expecting the governor to do with the line item veto? Are you expecting to see that pretty thoroughly throughout the budget to get that up?
I have, the governor always has the constitutional authority to use line item veto. And so what we are hopeful is that he won't, that he will use it very sparingly.
What do you think is an appropriate level for reserve?
I think, you know, you obviously want to get above $500 million. You probably want to get close to $1 billion if you can. But once again, the size of the reserve doesn't matter so much as our commitment to, one, trying to change what we know is broken, and two, the recognition that the structural deficit still remains and that we are in fact going to be back at it. But we get back at it with a fresh start. We bridge to a new governor, and and you know, I still say, and it's, you know, I think it was Barney Frank who said it, you know, you never see a bumper sticker that says it could have been worse. But in fact, it could have been much worse. $60 billion last year, $19 billion this year, and we're still maintaining a pretty decent level of investment in public education. We haven't decimated health care or other services for the poor, and we did the best we could with the tools that we have. But I'm not spinning this or rationalizing it to say that this budget, frankly, any of the budgets that we've done in recent years solve the problem or solve the structural deficit. They don't. Okay? Okay. Thanks all very much.